Hi, everyone. Good to be here and great to participate in the Digital Week Online. Thanks to James and the team at Pal Capital as well. And I'd be happy to start my talk a little bit about the metaverse and how AI avatars are going to play a role in that unique world that's emerging. So I'm just going to share my screen just to walk you through the thesis and how we at Alethea are thinking about it and what our vision is and what it means for the coming digital age that we've all sort of accelerated into in the past year, right? So I really like this quote from Balaji's, and he's been very prescient about a number of different ideas. One of it has been around the idea that it's going to be all AI avatars and crypto pseudonyms. Real names may be considered harmful. And he then also, mentioned separately that face masks are a missing piece of the pseudonymous economy thesis. For people to truly be pseudonymous, they need to cover their face. And I think we're getting to a point where we need to start thinking about uh, the role of identity in a decentralized world, but also the role of a virtual identity or a digital twin identity that may exist, right? So one of the core reasons why we founded Alethea was because we believe that Alethea.ai, as part of our vision, will enable a metaverse of millions of interactive, expressive, intelligent, AI-generated characters with their own thriving tokenized economies. And we really aim to do this by making it as easy and as cost efficient for people to create their own characters. And I'll give you an example. For example, the character on the left is a well-known character, little Michaela, and she is really well regarded and well loved and sort of a cultural icon now, I think, with about 2 to 3 million Instagram followers, regular press. And the character on the right is sort of an impersonator of Tom Cruise that went viral recently on TikTok and globally as well. And so, for what's interesting is that both characters are synthetic in the sense that they're not real. Both characters exist in this reality that we are agreeing to shape or agreed to the rules of, which is, you can call it the metaverse, you can call it the mediaverse, you can essentially call it media that you're going to be consuming, right? And so the cost of creating Michaela on the left, from our understanding or our estimates after speaking with CGI artists, for a single shoot or for a longer 2 to 3 minute video can be in the thousands of dollars. And the cost for creating somebody like deepfake Tom Cruise is really a fraction of that, right? So one thing that we have to take into account is that the advances in AI are accelerating the ability for content creators to build some of this unique synthetic characters and content, whether it is face masks, whether it is new characters from the ground up. All of these things are becoming possible at a rapidly accelerating rate. And this is happening just because of the advances in AI. This, for example, is a slide on the progress on face generation. And you can see from the left to the right an increase in fidelity from 2014 to 2020, in the sense of not just the realism, the features, the wrinkles, the fact that they're all synthetically generated, but still look deeply, in the 2020 case, for example, as real as they can look, has created a lot of concern for people as to how we're going to tackle the deepfake problem. But more than that, it's also created tremendous opportunity for creators and creative artists and filmmakers who may not have the big budgets of Hollywood production studios to create their own characters and content. So going back to somebody like Tom Cruise or deepfake Tom Cruise, 5 years ago, for him to create that viral video would have been nearly impossible because of the GPU costs, the computational and AI requirements, and also the distribution channels he'd need to acquire. Right? So from a marketing standpoint, he posted these videos on TikTok, and they accelerated the rate of adoption, or people trying to understand what is happening with this really lifelike character, right? So even on the distribution side, from the content creation to distribution side, these things have changed. And so what we're finding in the metaverse, or at least in the steps to getting to the metaverse, a sort of a middle layer where people are experimenting with creating pseudonymous characters, or characters that are part of their identity, AI avatars that are really an extension of either who they are or completely pseudonymous, and nobody really knows who the person is behind them, but they're doing it this way. And one of the most interesting pseudonymous characters in the past, like, decade or so, has been Satoshi Nakamoto, right? And because of his pseudonymity, or their pseudonymity, we don't know their gender necessarily, right? So the challenge here is how do we efficiently and effectively allow creators to build some of these tools effectively without compromising on the trust in society. And so, to the point of pseudonymity being a feature and not necessarily a bug, we started seeing this in Bitcoin, but we are also beginning to see this being adopted across new blockchain style projects, or new metaverse style projects, or even new blockchain native projects with their own protocols with pseudonymous founders. And there are several reasons for this, because people want to express themselves as characters, people want to express themselves as avatars. People may also want to express themselves in aspirational ways, the way they want the world to perceive them, and not necessarily their present physical avatar, right? So their digital representation might be a complete opposite of their physical representation, or it may actually be a direct replica of their physical replication, of their physical representation. And so we're seeing this become more common with individuals wanting to create these characters, and the power of expressing yourself clearly and having a community rally around a character or rally around a story or narrative is immense, and certainly very, very powerful, whether you're Satoshi Nakamoto, or in this case, whether you are Molly Wintermute from Hegek Protocol, or even Chainlink God, who is disguised as Pepe the Frog, right? So Pepe the Frog, for example, is a character that gained tremendous infamy, rather started on 4chan, but then memed itself all the way into the normal person on the streets mind, from the perspective of even the previous president tweeting a photo of this character or dressed up as this character, right? So we're seeing a lot of fringe cultures emerge that want to be mainstream, and they're using avatars or characters to really demonstrate their creativity, but also their message. More recently, for example, we saw Wall Street Bets and the standard character with a hairstyle that is somewhat Trumpian also, but using that character to rally people around, and we can see people starting to use those characters to meme a community together. And so all of this is going to get even more enhanced, even more accelerated in the next year or so. And what we're going to see is people wanting to create these characters, but also wanting to create unique advantages around these characters, right? And some of this is going to boil down to just the idea that at the end of the day, the cost structure of creating a character is going to drop. And I'll just dive in here and spend a bit more time, just because the cost of creating a character typically before, let's say, AI, before the advances in AI that we've seen in the past few years, was you really need a physical human being. You also need physical infrastructure, sound equipment, video equipment, recording equipment, a studio, all of these fixed costs of production, the variable costs of production, combined to create a significantly challenging environment for character creation, right? So if you wanted to create an AI avatar, good luck to you, because that's not possible. That did not exist several years ago. But today, the other issue that came up and accelerated this last year was, of course, the cost of COVID, which was the ability for people to contract the unfortunate disease while they're shooting or filming. So studios have to shut down or have to push that aside. And so what we're seeing is people wanting to create these characters openly. And on the right is sort of the model where we are headed, where we're going to reduce the cost structure and put and bucket that into the GPU and rendering costs for creating a character, giving creators a lot more free time to write content, produce content, and do cool things, right? So what would take hours previously of hours and sometimes weeks and months to create can now be done fairly rapidly. So for this brief presentation, I thought perhaps I'd flatter James Swell and took a sort of unflattering photo of him from the internet. And what you can do on Alethea.ai today is really you can upload your own character, and you can have that character speak you can have that character speak in up to, I think, 14 different languages right now. Or you can even face swap that character into a unique scene or a unique video that you'd like, right? So we've created some boundaries around what you can swap people into, just because we are trying to experiment with a very new technology and want to see how people can use this in a way that's possible and powerful. But yeah, one thing with James that we were able to do, for example, was we uploaded his character and we were able to have him be swapped into Iron Man, for example, instead of giving him the ignominy of being swapped into the president, right? So like swap him into Iron Man and see what the output is. And very, very easily the output, for example, here with the original video, if this is the original video, and this is the output that was fairly quickly created, I think in about 7 to 10 minutes, right? With that, that's a simple demo of what's coming and what's possible with face swap technology, but also with the ability to create characters and have them come to life and have them talk and have them speak. And so these are going to be the building blocks of the metaverse. I'll just pause here as my time is up, but thank you so much for gifting me the opportunity to chat, and excited to continue the Digital Week Online this week.